Hello, everyone, and this is Manoj Shah, your host for the day, and welcome to this new episode of Smart Outsourcing Talks. And today's guest is a special one. He brings 3 decades of insights into how the accounting profession thinks, learns, and evolves. So, welcome to the show, Seth Finberg.
Thank you.
Seth,
Uh,
yeah,
it's just Fineberg, but that's okay. People pronounce it. I've gotten Fineberg.
okay.
The believe it or not. So this is a good transition. My grandfather, my father's father, came from
Hmm.
Ukraine,
Hmm.
and same spelling of
Okay.
his name. It's not like a common Ukrainian name.
Hmm.
But he's Jewish, and this was his name, but it was pronounced Fienberg.
Okay.
But that's the that's
Ye-
that was the pronunciation of his name. But um, he's been
It's a
going with
Seth
Feinberg.
Finberg,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah. So,
that's
Seth,
just
before
how it
we
is. That's
go
my father
ahead,
name.
Seth, before we go ahead, let me just introduce you to our audience today. So, Seth is a founder of Accountants Forward, a trusted consulting and content strategy hub built to bridge the gap between accounting tech providers and accountants themselves. Before that, Seth served as an editor and business journalist at an iconic industry publications like Accounting Today, Accounting Web, where he earned a reputation for clarity, perspective, and for asking the tough questions, right, that no one else would have. Though his writing and consulting, Seth consistently reminds us that the trust is a currency of this industry, right, of the accounting industry, and that is an age of AI, automation, which overwhelms us. The human connection is more important than ever in today's AI age. Beyond trends, Seth has been a vocal in highlighting the human facets that matter, the work life balance, burnout prevention, and power of community that underserve yet deeply shapes our profession. Seth, we are thrilled to have you here on today's smart outsourcing talks, and welcome to the show. And
Glad to be here. That was a heck of an introduction, Manoj, and I feel really honored. Just for those who are out there, who are going to be watching this, it was always a pleasure to run into Manoj on the conference scene. We just end up speaking pretty openly and regularly about probably some of the things we're going to get into today.
yeah.
But so it's just a real pleasure to know you, my friend.
Yeah, and I've been known you for like 3, 4 years now, and
Mhm.
we've been hitting in conferences. So I don't feel like this. We are doing podcasts. It's just a conversation that every time we have.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best.
So
It's the most natural. We mentioned about establishing trust
yeah,
in the profession and authenticity. I mean, there's no better
mm,
way than when people are just
yeah,
comfortable with each other to
yeah.
to get into some tough conversations at times.
Mm. So Sid, let's begin. So from a journalist to being a connector now, what led you start this accountants forward?
Well, without going into too many of the details. Look, in business, sometimes things have a natural life to them, sometimes they
Mm,
have an unnatural life. They end sooner than you think that they're going to. That's kind of what happened. I was going along as the editor and US team lead for Accounting
mm,
Web for several
mm,
years. The We're UK. The UK site is still running.
mm,
So Accounting
mm.
Web UK is really one of the premier accounting resources in the UK. We had been, part of them for, a couple of decades, and
Hmm.
they just one day had to really make the difficult decision to really shut us down. And I know to this day it was something that was difficult to do. Again, in
Hmm.
business, this happens from time to
Hmm.
time. They ran into some financial difficulties, and they seem to be doing pretty well these days. So, for me and for my team, we all sort of had to figure
Hmm.
out what was next for all of us.
Hmm.
For myself, who had already put in, a good, 3 decades into covering accounting, being a part
Hmm.
of the scene, if
Hmm.
you will. Much in the way that researchers who've been out in nature. Have often brought up Jane Goodall, who studied chimps for very much of her life, and was accepted
Interesting.
and gave the respect. And I'm kind of a character in their story. I'm not the story by any means. I'm
Hmm.
there to give perspective, to in some
Hmm.
ways tell their story. And of late, I've been, really kind of leaning into the fact that one of my roles, I might not get directly paid to do it, but I'm an advocate.
Hmm.
Um, During my time covering the profession, being among accountants for so long, you can't help but really be
Hmm.
sensitive to their plight, to really understand the role that they play
Hmm.
in the financial health of
Hmm.
everyone they're in contact with, from the individuals and families that they work with to the
Hmm.
businesses and the business owners who have dreams
Hmm.
of creating something of value
Hmm.
for their families, for their legacies, for their um, for themselves. You don't go into business and start
Hmm.
a business lightly.
Hmm. Hmm.
You have entire life savings in many cases, and the
Hmm.
trust of investors and
Yeah.
other people. And
Hmm.
so who else do you trust and lean on and expect, much like you do your own medical professionals, to take care of where you're going?
Hmm. Hmm.
Even if it's just your basic, annual visits, to,
Hmm.
maybe you kind of work out a health plan with them. Maybe
Hmm.
you follow some, you go to some other specialists, or maybe they have specialists in house.
Hmm.
Like, I'm part of a medical group here. I look, I
Okay.
happen to live in New York City. We
Hmm.
have great some of the greatest medical care in the world,
Hmm.
expensive though it may be.
Hmm.
But like the individual doctor that I've been going to for years, he joined a larger medical group, so he can refer on like anything going on with me that he himself might not be able to do. He's like, this is
Hmm.
part of my team. So if you're
Hmm.
part of a firm that is saying, oh, well, yeah, we're looking after your books and dealing with your taxes, but we should all also discuss about what's going on here, about your
Hmm.
own trajectory.
Hmm.
You have let's look at your cash flow management. Let's get into
Hmm.
conversations about that. Like, all of
Hmm.
these things, man, that I'm
Hmm.
seeing um are on the shoulders or on the backs of accountants.
Hmm. Hmm.
How could I not want to help support that in any
Hmm.
way that I can? So I do that, as you mentioned
Hmm.
before,
Hmm.
by establishing some trust and connection between
Hmm.
the service providers, those who want to help accountants be
Hmm.
better at what they
Hmm.
do, or more
Hmm.
efficient, or what
Hmm.
have you, take certain
Hmm.
pains away from their
Hmm.
processes,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the profession itself,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
they're two different worlds, but they're part of the same world. What I'm saying? Like, they're
Hmm.
they're out to sell something, services,
Hmm.
peace of mind, what have you,
Hmm.
product,
Hmm.
piece of software,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they're out to run their firms and build their client base, build their trust, grow their own businesses. They
Hmm.
need each other, and
Hmm.
they need to establish a better line of communication. So I feel, and this is something I learned particularly at Accounting Web, where our
Hmm.
entire business model was not taking advertising money,
Hmm.
straight up ads, but
Okay.
building out content campaigns.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And so I took that
Right.
understanding
Hmm.
and that good work that
Hmm.
we did, and
Hmm.
I'm taking it forward because
Hmm.
I genuinely want to see the profession move forward. And lately I've been doing even like a little bit of PR type of
Hmm.
work, getting
Hmm.
certain individuals or companies
Hmm.
out in front of the press,
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
understand that that's also key to just getting some awareness and establishing
Sure.
some line of
Hmm.
okay, you're in the pantheon now, you're in the
Hmm. Hmm.
conversation, you're in
Hmm.
you know
Hmm.
It's one thing to go set up a booth at a conference.
Yeah.
It's another thing to get into real conversations and
Hmm.
be, be a part of
Hmm.
the growth that's happening.
Hmm. So, say, you have been here for like now 3 decades in this, and you're deeply connected with the tech companies, So, what do you feel that what tech companies were doing before, what they are doing now, and how the practitioner dynamics have changed, when they look at any softwares or any new solutions.
Right now, um, as we're in a period of time, I'd say over the last several years,
Hmm.
we are at what can be referred to as a point of inflection.
Okay.
In my time, have experienced a couple of those.
Hmm.
When I first started covering accounting, the first was
Hmm.
it was legislatively. I
Hmm.
like to say the ink was still
Hmm.
drying on the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which I
Hmm.
think fundamentally changed
Hmm.
how many, particularly CPA firms,
Hmm.
um, function, and it sent a big ripple effect through the
Hmm.
profession of
Hmm.
how they go about things.
Hmm.
Um, the second was about 15 years or so ago,
Hmm.
with the coming of what was referred to as
Hmm.
cloud technology, the cloud platform.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It fundamentally shifted how accountants um, worked, many of whom were still, even though there was still plenty of desktop software available, there were still
Hmm.
people working very much in the paper world. They
Hmm.
had documents, they were still
Hmm.
producing, printing out,
Hmm.
and bringing to their clients and
Hmm.
spreading out sometimes over days in a
Hmm.
boardroom and going over
Hmm.
their month end, their year end, their all the things that they're doing now in a more automated way
Hmm.
and in real time. So no longer did you have to take a say here's a good example, a QuickBooks file.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's that's QuickBooks desktop file
Hmm.
and go, okay, well, we're what version are you on?
Hmm.
Okay, is that compatible with what I'm doing? And there was no connectivity. You had to
Hmm.
physically either get on a call or
Hmm.
travel out with suitcases and
Hmm.
sometimes printers or scanners out
Hmm.
to a client's.
Hmm.
And some things took days or weeks to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cloud put you in real time
Hmm.
with your client in the same
Right.
document, in the
Yeah.
same, you're looking at the same data
Yes.
that they
Hmm.
are,
Hmm.
and you're both in that conversation.
Right.
Now we're at it again, where not just because of AI, which again is just the next phase of automation,
Hmm.
but fundamentally what accountants I think have grown from these compliance officers
Hmm.
and a very transactional kind of relationship to really being
Hmm.
part of, as I was saying, um, so much a part of the financial health of
Right.
an individual's, a family's, a business's life. And in order to be that,
So
and
more like an advisors, right? So they
really,
will
yeah,
understand.
sure.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
was I
Hmm.
was going to avoid using that word,
Hmm.
but yes, exactly,
Hmm. Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm. Hmm.
You are the one that they turn to for all these things. And now they're
Right.
starting to, so how do you do that? Well, you add
Hmm.
services or you
Hmm.
lean more into these, well, doing things that maybe historically accountants hadn't done, which is having these kind of deeper
Hmm.
conversations
Hmm.
with purpose,
Right.
based on the
Hmm.
data, based on all of the information that they have.
Hmm. Right.
That was produced in
Hmm.
sometimes in a matter of days or
Hmm.
hours,
Hmm.
or even in real time.
Hmm.
And this is kind of our own society has become more of this on demand
Hmm.
type of expectations are. So now, the newer thing these days is you're a service provider at the end of the day. So what
mm,
are we accustomed to doing with
mm,
services in our lives? We subscribe to them.
mm,
We
mm,
pay
mm,
monthly,
mm,
yearly,
mm.
quarterly for
Right.
a whole package of things. Depending
Right.
on what your needs are, you
Mm,
subscribe at that level. This is
mm,
fundamentally changing,
mm,
what it is even to be an accountant.
mm,
Now, I don't want to get into the whole discussion of, oh, well, you shouldn't have CPA,
mm,
out there. It's misleading. I don't.
mm,
I've seen this discussion starting to happen.
mm,
It kind of gets under my skin, and
mm,
I think that the CPA sure is
mm,
evolving. Is it
mm,
necessary even to have those letters to
mm,
get that accreditation? It really
mm,
depends on your path.
mm, mm,
Ultimately, I think if you're putting the time in, you're getting
mm,
yourself educated, and you're
mm,
understanding the technology and the platforms
mm,
and
mm.
all of it needed to ultimately have a return on the relationships that you've
Right.
established
Mm, mm.
for years in some
And,
cases.
mm. And
That's where
today,
the profession's
mm,
going.
yeah. And today, with every week, the new software solution coming up, right? And I'm
Sure.
sure it must be overwhelming for a lot of accountants. Are we seeing too much tech? Um, are we seeing too much changes too
Never.
fast? What do you feel?
No, I look, this has been a common phrase for years that I've heard by those in the know, that the pace of technology, pace of change is never going to be slower than it is right now. So,
Isn't it?
yeah, it's a
Mm,
lot. It
mm,
is a
mm,
lot because
mm, mm,
partly because, look, I've been in the information business my
mm,
whole career
mm,
as a
mm,
journalist, as an editor. So I've seen the evolution of how information is disseminated.
mm,
There is so much today
mm,
between print publications, digital
mm,
publications, podcasts,
mm,
videos, white papers,
mm,
webinars, live
mm,
events,
mm,
and endless meetings, and all these things are great.
mm,
But to the workaday accountant,
mm,
the average accountant today, sure,
mm,
it's a lot. And
mm,
this is where someone like me, I think, comes in,
mm,
is to say, like I say to the companies that I work with,
mm,
look, you have to go into it with this understanding. You have to have a very singular purpose and
mm,
message,
mm,
and get behind that message. Establish
mm,
that line of communication. And then you can get into all the rest. You don't have to try to say it all at
mm,
once.
mm, mm, mm.
We're great
And,
because
mm,
X.
mm,
They've heard it before. They don't have
mm,
time for you
mm,
to explain why.
mm,
They'll
mm,
come to you. Conversely, they'll come to you
mm,
when
mm,
it's time, when they
mm,
feel naturally that they have the need, they've gotten to know you enough where they've looked at their own situation and said, yeah, okay, now is the time when we can talk about that demo. Now's the
mm,
time when we can talk about what more you can do, or
mm,
let's take your technology out for a test drive.
mm,
But how do you get to that point? That
mm,
magical,
mm. Yeah. Mm,
they'll come to you.
mm.
Putting
Yeah.
good content out there, reaching
Mm,
the
mm,
accountant when
mm,
they're, I guess, at their most reachable, or you
mm,
know, one could argue, oh, well, they never have time. They never have time for anything.
mm,
So you create it. You create the reason,
mm,
whether it's doing some local events,
mm,
or putting some research out there, or white paper, or something,
mm,
that some piece of content or groups of content out there that just spark the interest,
mm,
that don't promote in any
mm,
way other
mm,
than say, hey, look, we get you, Mr. and
mm,
Mrs. Account. We get you.
mm,
We
mm,
understand what you're going through. Come talk to us when you're ready. But we're going to
mm,
keep putting out this stuff that is
mm,
going to be meaningful for you.
mm, mm, mm,
And sooner or later, you'll make that
mm,
decision. It is a longer game. And I
mm,
understand some of these companies, they get, A rounds and B rounds of financing, and they're under pressure. from investors
mm, mm,
to produce to get certain people through the door. So you just get creative about it, and it will happen.
mm, mm, mm. And do you think there is a patient capital invested in these tech companies? Because though everything is going fast, but the adoption may be still slow.
Yeah, it is. I mean, slow is it's a relative term. Like I
Uh-huh.
said, it's never going to be slower than it is right now.
Uh,
Um, but I've seen it. I've seen it evolve. I've seen the role technology has played
mm,
in accountants' lives has increased
mm,
exponentially over just the
mm,
last, I would say, 15 to
mm,
20 years.
mm, mm, mm.
Exponentially. Like you
Sure.
can't
Mm,
think of doing
mm,
a thing
mm,
outside of some
mm,
touch to some
mm,
piece of
mm,
technology.
mm, mm, mm,
So it has to make, so knowing that what you're producing, what you
mm,
are putting out in the market, whether
mm,
it's an outsourced service
mm,
or a managed service or a
mm,
or a
mm,
piece of tech
mm,
or anything in between, you
mm,
have to have that understanding that there's a lot of options.
mm, mm,
So what are you saying that's going to get the accountant who's making those decisions
mm,
on board with you?
mm.
And that's a challenge.
And
But
yeah. Mm,
you have to meet them where they are,
yeah,
just like
yeah,
any human interaction. You
true.
can't just walk
Mm,
up to someone in a bar and
mm,
expect them to just, oh, well, they're going to start, they're coming to my house for dinner tonight.
mm, mm,
Like, I just met you.
mm,
I don't
mm,
know. You
mm.
have to even create a reason for them to talk to you
Yeah, yeah.
in the first place.
Mm, mm.
I've got lots of analogies. I like the bar one because it's the pub, whatever you want to call it. It's a social place, it's a social meet.
Yeah,
You're already there.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Mm,
some
mm,
people are just there to, I'm going to eat and drink and have my steak and go home.
mm,
Or, if they overhear a conversation, the
mm.
natural human inclination is to maybe
Yeah,
lean into that a
yeah,
little bit.
true. Mm,
You're
mm,
listening, even though maybe you're pretending not to listen.
mm, mm. And say so coming to you talked about outsourcing and all that. So off late the way the technology has developed, okay, um, it's very easy now to so as you said that in one document there could be a account and a customer client both in the same document. Similarly, with the technology it is so fairly easy to get the global team on board. Look at the options of offshoring and being more efficient. So
This is true.
does building a global team help to uh, kind of a leverage technology, and vice versa? Even the technology can leverage. Uh,
It
you know.
depends on your need, Manoj. Those are great scenarios.
Mhm,
I would say yes, but it really depends on the need. It's such a subjective thing, and an
mm,
individual
mm,
or individual firm,
mm,
thing. But it all still starts with this. I got to get back to my original point. It all starts with establishing a relationship. What you
mm,
do, how you do it, all of those things, they matter. The
mm,
relationship matters more
mm, mm,
because then you'll be able to sell, upsell, experiment, whatever you want to do to grow your own platform or service
mm,
better, easier because you've established that.
mm,
And I tell this to companies all the time. I said, once
mm,
you get someone, they
mm,
do become your advocate because
mm,
you've established that. I mean, you get that trust.
mm,
You get the
mm,
relationship with them going.
mm,
And
mm,
much like their own client base, you
mm,
know that as a firm, you are a service
mm,
provider yourself.
mm,
They're not doing their own books because you know you do it better. They're
mm,
not doing their own taxes because you know that there's going to be some kind of problem that you would have foreseen already.
mm,
Or if they did, you're there to advise them, whatever it is, and you're using technology all the way
mm,
to help with that.
mm,
So your own business grows because of the relationships you already have with your existing
mm,
clients. Because sooner or
mm,
later, they're referring someone to you. They're in
yeah.
the business community, they're
Mm,
in
mm,
whatever, they're, you know, they're human. They're gonna human with other humans,
mm,
and this is just the natural course of things.
mm,
So really understanding what return on relationship is, it's
mm,
kind of everything
mm, mm,
from technology adoption to growing services, growing your own business,
mm,
whether you're an accountant or in the field that you're in
mm,
or anywhere in between,
mm.
you're all part of the same ecosystem.
Right.
And it
And when
grows
you
through
talk
trust.
about
It grows through that
yeah,
relationship.
and when you talk about the return on relationships, so in a wake
Mhm.
of things, the way it is going, that in the race of automation, are we losing that human touch? Are we losing that human side of coin?
I don't think so. I think it's always
Mm,
going to be
mm,
there, and I think people
mm,
understanding if we're talking about the AI in the room, which I think you're
mm,
you're getting to,
mm,
Manish.
mm,
I've been calling it by a different name,
mm,
calling it artificial intelligence, which again, that's the official whatever. You could probably look it up in the dictionary now and say, "Oh, artificial
mm,
intelligence." It has a
mm,
whole definition for it. Fine.
mm,
The connotation,
mm,
particularly when it comes to accountants who already are distrustful of technology,
mm,
is that it's this foreign thing that's going to
mm,
come in and take over. We
mm,
don't understand it. It's
mm,
I don't get it.
mm,
I don't understand what it is. It's artificial.
mm.
When you start calling it assisted
Yeah,
intelligence,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I've heard people
True.
refer to it in other ways too that are
Mm,
a little more realistic. Then
mm,
you understand, this is working with me, not
mm,
against me. And unlike a
mm,
piece of software, which was designed with a particular purpose in mind, if
mm,
then goes from here to
mm,
here, and then it
mm,
kind of stops at a certain point, and
mm,
then you got to build out or build in
mm,
other things to
mm,
it,
mm,
or have Zapier or APIs in order for it to do all these
mm,
other wonderful things that you really want it to do, or
mm,
you give it the data that
mm,
it needs to
mm,
learn, and you
mm,
work with it. It works
mm,
with you.
mm. I
That
just love this,
at this
analogy,
stage of the at
so
this
yeah.
stage of the game,
Mm, mm,
I don't want to see it go off the cliff
mm,
that cloud went. Look how
mm,
long it
mm,
took.
mm,
The hours, the money, the years spent convincing accountants go to the cloud. You
mm,
got to go to the cloud. You got to go to the cloud. When they were going to find their way anyway, they probably
mm,
would have faster if they weren't
mm,
told from the outset that,
mm,
well, if they weren't embracing it, then they're just going to be an insignificant, like nothing.
mm,
You're not
mm,
going to grow. You're just going to be kind of relegated to this dark corner over here where you always
mm,
were anyway.
mm,
You were the
mm,
back office nerds. You were the insignificant, person. And accounting to me has really just superpowered itself.
mm, mm,
Accountants to
mm,
me are no longer this
mm,
hidden force, this hidden
mm,
individual, nameless,
mm,
faceless,
mm,
producing numbers and you know all of these. I could go on with these analogies and
mm.
really misnomers
Mm. I love that
that they
analogy.
weren't.
Where you said that it is not an artificial intelligence, it's an assisted intelligence, right? That's the right way to put,
Yeah,
because that will give you a really,
that's
really
how
a
I
positive
see it.
side
I
to
mean,
adoption. Yeah, yeah,
sure, there's a lot unknown. There's a lot unknown about
yeah,
any
yeah.
new
Mm,
technology.
mm, mm,
People didn't trust cloud. They're like, where's this
mm,
going? I don't know.
mm,
Dude,
mm,
I knew firms and firm leaders that were getting
mm,
taken on
mm,
tours of data centers. So they
mm.
understand, here's the cloud. They physically showed them what the cloud was.
Yeah,
They got in the white suits and went
yeah,
through to a data center that showed them around.
yeah.
Here's where
Mm,
everything goes.
uh,
And it still goes. And there's, I don't want to get into that, but There's entire
Yeah.
towns now that are just data centers, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the amount of energy to power them is
Mm,
frightening.
mm,
Frightening.
mm,
What
mm,
is
mm,
what is needed, the stress on the power grids
mm.
to 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 power these. But that's the cloud. They had to be shown
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and all the security measures that they go through.
Mm, mm,
Years it took. I don't want to
mm,
see that with AI because
mm,
it is the next wave of automation. It is where
mm,
so much technology is going. There is going to
mm,
be AI in everything that you use.
mm, mm,
So work with it, not against it.
mm,
Um, and really, I think, unlike software, again, which is something that was built in a lab or designed, where some people kind of leaned
mm,
in a little more and they created some of their own, but by and large,
mm,
it was created for you.
mm,
AI obviously, is to a degree, but then it's going, okay, what are you
mm,
going to do with it? It
mm,
is literally handed
mm,
to accountants
mm,
and any users these days and said, particularly like on the on the generative side, the
mm,
GPT side of things,
mm,
that's
mm,
your ball of clay.
mm,
Build what you want with it. Have it do what you need it to do.
mm,
You built it
mm,
essentially. I mean, it has all of the uh, basic ingredients,
mm,
but outside of that,
mm,
I'm amazed in the year and a half or so that it's been, or nearly 2 years now since GPT came onto the scene.
mm,
What accountants are doing with it?
mm,
It's pretty wild, man, and it's very
mm,
encouraging
mm, mm,
to see leaning in a way that they never did with any other software.
mm, mm,
So that's why I have a lot of hope for it.
mm.
But
Yeah.
it does behoove you,
Mm,
Mr. and Ms. Accountant, to
mm,
understand what is possible and understand, first and foremost, as Manoj and I have
mm,
been talking about,
mm,
that this is your assistant
mm.
and it's going
Yeah.
to fail.
Yes.
It's Don't throw it away because, oh, this broke. This wasn't built right.
Yeah.
Call me
Yeah.
in a few years when you get this right. No,
Mm,
this is actually, you want it to fail
mm,
because it's going to learn.
mm. Yeah.
Software doesn't learn.
Mm,
AI will learn, which again,
yeah.
a little freaky, a little sci-fi.
Mm,
I get it,
mm,
but
mm,
it's where, I don't know. I just think it's naturally where automation in general needs to be.
mm.
Otherwise, how do we
Sure.
really talk about automation?
Yeah.
If
And
it's not going to evolve, it's not going to evolve with you.
yeah, yeah. And even when we talk about people or firms, so the technology is moving pretty quick. So there could be differentiation in terms of adoption. Somebody would adopt faster, somebody would be slower, and stuff like that. So how do you look at the firms balancing between the kind of an efficiency and empathy? So how do you
Mm.
balance to foster technology within the organization?
I mean, look, it's not like we're going again from rocks and chisels or pieces of paper to this brand new thing.
Hmm.
Technology has been in business life for quite some time now.
Hmm.
So, depending on the size of firm that you are, some of the bigger ones already have people kind of assigned to
Hmm.
kind of go out and champion and learn,
Hmm.
learn what's out there and champion for it. You have teams experimenting already. Look
Hmm.
at something like Cast. That didn't happen overnight.
Right.
You had to start with maybe one client or a small
Hmm.
group of clients
Hmm.
that you could do these things with.
Hmm.
So adoption shouldn't be, turn on the fire hose and just
Hmm.
deal.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
you can get there, you piecemeal.
mm,
particularly like
mm,
with like the GPTs.
mm,
You could, that way you can look at individual tasks
mm,
and say, all right, get someone who's comfortable,
mm,
with this, or
mm,
heck, watch a video. I think
mm,
Jason Stats, he's out there
mm.
doing. He's just one example. He's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
great things to just
Mm,
walk you the heck through. Like you don't have to be like some
mm,
tech genius.
mm,
He's at
mm.
another level with
True.
that, but he
Yeah.
breaks it down and saying,
Mm,
all right, here's a particular process that you
mm,
could start doing
mm,
right now. In fact, here's a few
mm. Sure.
right now as we're sitting here.
Mm, 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 mm,
And that's how it starts. Once the spark goes off, once things click, then
mm,
it kind of starts it starts the momentum. And I
mm,
can tell you from my perspective, like what's coming into the
mm,
market
mm,
is really, every day it's this new thing that's potentially game changing for
mm,
firms, for the work, for
mm,
just bigger things like maintaining, the knowledge inside of a firm that tends to leave when individuals leave, the
mm,
uh you know just other bigger, human issues like keeping people interested in staying in a firm.
mm, mm.
Some of that
Yeah.
can be, well, when you aren't really grinding on a particular task, or you're not expected to be this junior person that's got to work their way up, and
Mm,
you
mm,
got to spend years doing you know what would be considered a grunt work,
mm, mm,
um, is no longer the case.
mm, mm. And
And
in
technology is because of that.
hmm, hmm. And in today's age, when you see this tech vendors, do you think they are doing enough to support the community, or what's your take on that, or they need to do more? Any examples or stories can you give around this?
I mean, as far as doing more, uh, I mean, I think you're already doing more by seeing what more that it is that you want to do. I just
Hmm,
think this is an age of control. I
hmm,
think that firms right now, and firm leaders, I should say, have an opportunity to really shape where this whole accounting things
hmm,
go. The
hmm,
accountant of all this picture, I created that weird, picture a bit earlier. That
hmm,
accountant is probably going away.
hmm, hmm,
What people understand about what an accountant is,
hmm,
that's going away.
hmm,
But accounting, being an accountant, is not. It's evolving. It's forming this new skin
hmm,
right
hmm,
now. And man, I feel so fortunate to be witness to it
hmm, hmm,
and to
hmm,
play whatever role I can in its evolution,
hmm,
documenting it, seeing it
hmm,
go forward. Uh,
hmm,
I feel honored. I mean, to me,
hmm,
the greatest thing in life is to pass on the knowledge that
hmm,
you
hmm,
have learned. We're
hmm,
all going to
hmm,
be somewhere, not here,
hmm, hmm,
uh, but we're not going to be here. Our time here is always limited. That's
hmm,
just the facts of things. So, how do we how do we pass on, all that we've learned, because
hmm,
that's
hmm,
really what you leave behind. And some people say,
hmm,
"Oh, money, possessions, things like that." Sure, but
hmm,
that's finite. Knowledge is
hmm,
infinite.
hmm,
We know
hmm,
things
hmm,
about our own culture, about our own,
hmm,
being
hmm,
people that go back thousands, hundreds of
hmm,
thousands of years. How do we know that?
hmm, hmm,
That information's been passed on. In some cases, sure, people will, dig up things and they'll interpret things,
hmm,
but it's still
hmm,
knowledge
hmm,
that, and, some of that knowledge might be uncomfortable or
hmm,
difficult to
hmm,
learn or difficult to
hmm,
accept.
hmm,
Doesn't change the fact that it is. And
hmm,
so I'm happy and every day to be a part of just, sharing what I know and
mm,
continuing
mm,
to learn.
mm, mm. So you said that when the cloud era came, and then people went there to see the data center because they didn't know where the cloud is, right? So
Well, it
they
was just, it was like, come on, man, this is so much safer
yeah.
and more efficient. And
Mm,
let me just show you. Like, they just didn't understand. Like, what is this cloud? I don't know. Like,
mm,
people didn't
mm,
trust the internet
mm, mm,
at all. And it's like, well, all right, this is kind of what we're talking about here. But,
mm.
you know,
Yeah.
they,
So
they just
how do
didn't.
you think they would be more trusting the technology? Even when we talk about offshoring, um, a lot of people say, like, I know, somebody said, hey, so you have people in India, so how the things over there, because they've not seen there, they've not touched that, they feel, I don't know where the work
Right.
is going to be
They're
done from.
separate for it.
So
This is literally on the other side of the world for me. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I can't
uh,
oversee my teams. Like, all right, well,
uh,
look, there's people that you trust to do things every day that you don't see.
yeah,
Do you go into the
mm,
bank every day?
yeah,
You see where your
you
money
don't know.
is
Yeah.
every day?
Mm,
Do you have to go into a store to
mm,
buy everything that you own or use
mm,
and physically touch it,
mm,
feel it?
mm, mm,
No. So word of mouth, getting enough use cases, getting enough people in around you that have had
mm,
experiences,
mm,
shared experiences.
mm,
That's a big way to move the needle with any service adoption.
mm, mm,
Again, accountants do it themselves. Their
mm,
clients
mm,
are their biggest advocates. How
mm,
do I know this accountant can do
mm,
all these things?
mm,
Um, well, you know me, you trust me.
mm,
I've been using them for years, and
mm,
recently they really helped turn my business around over the last year.
mm, mm,
We worked at a cash flow management plan. We worked at a growth plan. Um, I even had someone sit with me on taxes and do some tax planning work with me,
mm, mm,
save my company. All of these things. Real life has a
mm,
way
mm,
of, and real conversations have a way of moving the needle in a way that all the
mm,
marketing in the world is never going to do.
mm, mm.
Hope that
So
answers
say
your
if
question.
yeah, so say if you were to start a firm today, okay, uh, what do you look at? How do you start a firm? So what technology would you do? Would you go global
I
from
mean,
day one? So
it depends on what do you want it to do. I have spoken to firm owners, people who have
hmm,
in recent history done exactly
hmm,
that.
hmm,
I'm not an accountant. I'm not trained as one. I never studied as one, but I
hmm,
have studied accountants
hmm,
and how they think, how they work. And
hmm,
I've spoken to these people who in recent history have gone out
hmm,
on their own.
hmm,
And
hmm,
it really starts with what kind of firm are you? What services are
hmm,
you going to provide?
hmm,
How are you going to function?
hmm,
All of these things have to feed into you.
hmm, hmm,
How is it going to balance out your life
hmm,
and still have you do the work that you want to do?
hmm,
So that's before any piece of technology or anything comes in there.
hmm,
You have a
hmm,
plan of who you are
hmm,
first.
hmm,
And then you start looking at, you have conversations with others who might have gone through this. You
hmm,
hopefully have a good network,
hmm,
maybe that you met at a conference or through an online
hmm,
group or
hmm, hmm,
local CPAs, whoever it is,
hmm,
um, and then you can start thinking about your tech stack,
hmm,
the thing
hmm,
that you are going to, you know, have to help you
hmm,
function. So there's the
hmm,
functional stuff. Then
hmm,
there's the
hmm,
service stuff. And then the service
hmm,
stuff has to also connect to the functional stuff. That
hmm,
ultimately is your
hmm,
stack.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
And then you
And
go from there. And then
yeah.
and then you figure, okay, how much do we want to do here on
Hmm,
our stack? And how
hmm,
much are we comfortable with maybe someone else is out there that can take care of this, and we can pay them every
mm,
month
mm,
to do it.
mm, mm, mm,
Sometimes it's marketing, and in some cases, we see that people, we've seen the rise of the fractional worker,
mm.
the fractional
Yeah,
CMO, the fractional
yeah,
CFO, the
yeah,
fractional, whoever,
yeah.
PR.
Mm,
You know, I do that a bit
mm, mm,
right now for companies who are like, I need someone to do these very
mm,
specific things. Okay, I can do that.
mm, mm. Oh, mm, yeah. And
So, but it all starts with who you want to be.
mm,
How do you want to
mm,
work?
mm,
How often do you
mm,
want to work?
mm,
All of that.
mm, mm, mm. So in accountants forward, so what all services that you offer? So you said you do a fractional PR. So um, you know, what are the typical kind of an engagements you take?
Um, well, I started off really just, really, and I still lean very heavily into, content production and strategy. I start with
Okay.
conversation
Mm,
of what
mm,
is it that you need to accomplish? What do you
mm,
want to
mm,
do?
mm,
And then in some cases it's, oh, I need someone to help me, with these,
mm,
put these articles out there, or
mm,
we'd love to get like a white paper on this, or
mm,
something outbound.
mm, mm,
In other cases, and of late, it's been a little more kind of PR centric, where I'm helping someone establish themselves individually so they get their
mm,
voice out there. So
mm,
I lean into those connections. In
mm,
some cases, it's very, very specific. Someone hired me to do a bit of research,
mm,
or someone hired me to build out, like they're like, yeah, we have this accountant program,
mm,
but nobody really knows about it, and I don't know, does it say the right things, or whatever. So I came in to kind of evaluate, what it is, because
mm,
I've seen many
mm,
accountant
mm,
programs out
mm,
there in terms of just
mm,
the outbound. What does it say,
mm, mm,
right? So that's really what I lean into, and I feel
mm,
that I'm helping move the profession forward by, again, getting some of these companies and individuals, more
mm,
established, out there, so
mm,
accountants, pay attention to
mm.
them, learn from them,
Sure.
work with them.
Mm, 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 mm.
So that's at the core of what I do.
Sure, sure.
I'm like a marketing partner. I'm also when needed a PR partner too.
Great. Yeah. And say, what do you feel that what's the next 2 to 3 years in our profession looks like? So um,
I'm glad we're not doing 5 years, 10 years, because the pace of change is just gotten too fast to just go. I don't
mm,
like
mm,
what
mm,
did you see, look how, first of all, look how long it took, cloud again. Nobody really talks about cloud as much anymore
uh,
as this thing.
yeah,
It just
yeah.
it right. And I still use that sort of 15-year,
Mm,
scenario.
mm,
Um, but yeah, the next 2 or 3 years, are definitely going to be a lot more automated. People are, I think, going to be leaning into a lot more of, niche services, or very specific. They're going to establish themselves. Like, I think we're going to get clearer on this whole redefinition of
mm,
what an
mm,
account is.
mm,
I think that's
mm,
going to be a lot more
mm,
clearer, and I'm
mm,
here for it, man. I'm excited
mm,
to
mm,
see it,
mm,
because it's happening every single day. Every day someone says, I don't want to work this way. Everyone
mm,
that says, my value is actually this, it's not this. It's
mm,
outcomes, Manoj.
mm, mm,
It's not the actual work,
mm, mm,
operations. I don't know. I was looking for
mm,
another. Oh,
mm, mm. Okay, so as we come to the end of this podcast, one last question. So,
yes, sir.
what is your advice? Because you have spent so many years and you have seen the technological changes. You keep seeing a lot of new things. You have been very active, vocal on a lot of platforms. You've been a part of this accounting community and all that, right? So, for the budding kind of firms, what is your few tips or advice, 2 3 things that they should do right to kind of scale up their firm?
Start looking at how you want to work and specifically the kind of life you want to have in there.
Mm,
Everyone talks about, oh, work-life balance, work-life balance. Out of the gate, you've got it wrong because you're not
mm,
putting life first.
mm,
Um, so once you start philosophically and realistically structuring your business or how you work with that in mind, a lot of the other things start coming together.
mm,
Second is, the kind of work you actually want to do,
mm,
rather than feeling you've got to do,
mm,
you know, um, lean, heavily into tax or books. Um, you know, think of ways you can build on that.
mm,
Um, and and third, I would say really just get better connected. You know,
mm,
you don't go through this alone. That you might even be a solo practitioner.
mm,
Don't go through it alone.
mm,
Spend the next year or
mm,
so really
mm,
getting connected with
mm.
your fellow accountants, with people in the community,
Correct. Mm,
because it's like having like a partner in your business. There's always
mm,
someone who's going to be there going through what you went through
mm,
or what you are going through. Or
mm,
maybe you
mm,
can share with them. I had mentioned
mm,
earlier about how knowledge
mm,
is really the greatest thing you can do
mm,
to pass
mm,
on, passing on
mm,
knowledge. Like
mm,
this is going to help you grow. It's going to help
mm,
the profession
mm,
grow. And you might not feel like you've got the weight of the profession on your back. You shouldn't.
mm, mm, mm,
But if you feel that to to any degree, get connected,
mm,
even if it's just for your own business.
mm,
I can't stress that enough,
mm, mm.
because the community approach is really where it's at. You should never
Right.
feel siloed or feeling like,
Mm,
oh, they're competing. I know we didn't get into other things like private equity and
mm,
other
mm,
things like that. That could be
mm,
a whole other
mm.
podcast on itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
At the end of the day, it's not something that should influence what you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Seth. It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you for being a part of this Smart
It went too
Outsourcing
fast.
Talk.
It went too fast, Manoj. It really did. Seriously.
And I really love that analogy, which I'm going to use everywhere. Is artificial intelligence puts you like in a competition with humans, but when you say assistant intelligence, it is just like
Yeah,
a
it's like this foreign
it's
entity.
yeah,
It's
it's
coming
like a
in. You don't
friend, right?
understand
So
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when it's assisted intelligence. This is my
Hmm.
assistant. This is my
Yeah,
partner
yeah, yeah.
that I'm training.
Very well said. Yeah,
Right now is the training period.
yeah, yeah. So very well said. So thank you, Seth. We discussed everything regarding AI, automation, tech vendors, and most importantly, the work-life balance and being a part of the community. So thank you for spending time with us, and I'll catch up with you with another conference. See you soon.
Sure will. I always enjoy seeing you, my friend.
Hmm. Thank you so much. Yeah. Take
Take
care.
care,
Bye
buddy.
bye. Yeah.
Bye.